Hi everyone, I'm Jessica and welcome to Lumi Stitch. In today's episode, I'm gonna show you how to make a scissor fobs, and I'm also including a free chart that I have designed for you, especially for the Halloween. And these are the scissor fobs we're gonna be making today. Look how beautiful they are. So this is a 22 count Hardanger fabric stitched 1/1, but you can also substitute it for 20 count Aida, which is readily available 1 to 3 stitch, or an 18 count Aida. So these guys measure about inch and a half or less. And I have one, this is Halloween Manor. It finished up with little bits right there. This is the hardanger that I hand dyed. And I do have a fabric in my Etsy shop. All the links to my social media and the chart will be down in the description box. Just look at that. And also, as an option, you can leave this off if it's too intimidating for you. And this also can be used as Halloween small ornaments if you're decorating like a Halloween tree. So these are the small scissors. And I just use a different one because it looks gives you different perspective. By doing two different finishes, it gives you different perspective, which one you can do and which one works better for you. Also, I show you how to finish it by hand and also on a machine. This is very easy tutorial. You can pick your own chart, but keep in mind, to have this size, they need to be under 30 by 30 stitches each way. So the perfect size would be somewhere around 25, 27 stitches up and down. All right, next I'm gonna show you the actual chart. There is two more. The chart has 4 ornaments, so I only did 2. I'm gonna show you the other 2. This is the Halloween chart that I designed. It has a pumpkin, the black cat at the cemetery, candy, Halloween candy, and the Halloween manure. So I think those are the classics that everyone loves. And my pattern is in full color, and you can use it in Markup RXP. I do test them. I did load it in my Markup RXP, and I stitched with it. So it was a pleasure stitching it, not on paper, because I just recently got this app. I was using some other apps, but that other app does not take PDF. So this was so wonderful to use the app if you have a chance. I don't know if it works in the other apps like Black and White. I think it's for the Android. I forgot what it's called, but this app works on Apple, and I do have iPad, so it works great. Let's see. Let's see if I can show you the chart. It's free, so it's my chart. I can show it to you. So as you can see, there is a middle right there where the red line is, and it's easy to see. Also, if you don't want to stitch as this as fobs, if you prefer to do like a double smalls, you can increase it to any size you like. You can just do it on 28 count or 14 count Aida and just stitch them up. They would stitch up so fast and they would look cute in your double. All right, let's get started. Let's go over what we need to get this project started. First, you need a 22 count hardanger if you wanted this small size like mine. And this comes out about inch and a quarter for that ornament scissor fob. So this is the 22 count hardanger that I dyed. I did try to stitch in hand, But since this fabric is dyed, it's impossible for me to stitch in hand. And I would recommend just putting it in a hoop and then just cutting it out. That way, the fabric opens up the holes. Next, this is optional step. I'm not going to use the top portion, but we can make it this pom-poms at the bottom and sew in this part. Also for the baking, I'm gonna use this sparkly fabric that I just have a small piece left from Joanne's days. And you can also use the same fabric that you're stitching out for the backing or anything that you like. This is all the called for DMC here that I used. Maybe one or two of them actually painting fairy, and they're the same quality Egyptian long staple cotton, just like DMC in double mercerized. Next, I have this, but this is about 2.5 inches, millimeters wide cording that we're gonna use to attach it to our fob, so you can have this then attached to the scissors. And another thing we're gonna need for interfacing, basically this is a fusible interfacing. It's there's glue on one side which is bumpy and smooth on the other one. This is what you use to back this fabric and this fabric as well. And last, we do need some polyfill or anything. Even a good, even a cheap pillow from Walmart you can buy, and you can use that from there too. All right, this is all things that you need, plus, scissors, needles, just those basic things. The next step is to interface these pieces. You do have to cut out about 2 by 2. It's actually 2.25 by 2.25 each. This is your cross stitch, the backing fabric, and fusible interfacing, light interfacing, 4 pieces. You're gonna turn this over. You're gonna get feel the side that has glue on it. It's gonna have little bumps. Gonna lay it over and go with the iron over it on medium or light setting. Do that for all of the pieces. I went ahead and I interfaced all 4 pieces. Okay, you need to cut 2 pieces of this kind of cording, and they need to be 13 inches long each. This cording unravels very fast, so you need a lighter and you would go over very fast. If the cording is cotton, it's not gonna work. It only works on polyester. On a cotton cording, you would simply put some Aleene's glue, and this is the one that's sold in Hobby Lobby, and it's available in any craft store in America. All right, and you'll just do the same thing with the second one, likewise. The way we're gonna assemble this, there is 2 ways. You can either flip this over and go over with your sewing machine like this, and this you can sew it on outside with invisible thread. When you're done, you would just go all the way around, little turning point right here. Or you can do it by folding the edges, but your seam would need to be almost perfect like this. And there is 22 squares in an inch, and you would do every other hole or every other square and going over like that until you're finished. Of course, you would leave a space to insert the hanger and the little pom-pom. But or if you don't have a sewing machine, you can just start sewing it this way, and then just turn it out, because if you're, see, my sewing is not even that close together, but I have this thicker thread. So when you're done turning it out and you will iron it, it will still look good. But I'm gonna go ahead and use sewing machine, and I'll be back to show you what it looked like. I went ahead and used my sewing machine. I use a 2.4 stitch length because this is a small, almost like a small pillow. So the stitches will hold up, and you always want to back stitch right here and back stitch in the corner. This is what it looks like. The next step would be is just to trim the excess, but around the corners, but don't go too close, because when you're pulling or poking those edges out, it might rip a hole. So I'm just gonna go ahead and trim the edges like this. Do that with the other one. I probably don't want to trim anything right there yet because we need some edge to fold over. And just one more side. And then you can turn it over. For turning out, I usually use some type of brush that has a blunt edge. First, kind of pull this out like twice, and then you'll just use the brush to push and poke out the corners. When you're done, almost done, you can use a smaller end brush to poke out the corner, because you see how this one looks. You might actually like this look better, or that one. So once you use the big one, use additional small one, but don't use too much force because you can actually make a hole in it. I have made holes before. So right here, we'll just fold it in and we can sew it. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same with the other piece. The next step would be fill up this hole with polyfill or any polyester stuffing. And then we'll use this invisible thread to close the hole, along with putting this pom-pom, and we'll also use this thread to sew on this cording. Before I do stuff it, I always fluff it. You do need to fluff it up because if the polyester stuffing usually clumps up, and that will give uneven like body to your pillow or a scissor fob. So what you always want to do is fluff it up, and then you just stuff it back in there. That way it is nice and even. If you're not able to use your finger to stuff a pillow, you can use a paintbrush to finish it up. And depends on the thickness you like. You don't need to stuff this very thick because this is very tiny scissor fob, but it does look like a little tiny pillow. We're not gonna overstuff it, but we don't want it to be completely flat where it looks floppy. And look at that. This is almost a finish. So what we'll be doing, we'll put that in there. I can make a knot here so it stays in there better and doesn't come out. I'm not gonna cut it off or anything because it can unravel if you cut it off. But as I make my way closing this hole, I'll stuff it in there. When we do start, we wanna get under inside and pull it through, and you also wanna hold the thread kind of with your fingers or like that, because this thread is very finicky. It will start knotting in no time, and all you had to do is do like a whip stitch but more closer together, because this whip stitch you won't really be able to see since the thread is invisible. So the way you want to do it is put over your finger like that. Make sure any threads that stick out go inside, get through there, come over, grab it with your finger, and start over again. You want to put them kind of closer than wider because that way it looks neat. As long as you don't go and leave gaps that are too wide, it will look nice because, like I said, this is invisible thread and it basically does wonders. But you do have to make sure that your stitches stay small. They're not too big or they're not getting knotted up, and you're gonna do that by keeping them that way. Okay, so I have reached the point where I'm gonna go ahead and insert this. If you're not putting anything here, you can just finish it off and then we'll sew this on in the next step. I have pushed it in with this paintbrush, and that's about the middle right there. And I'm gonna go ahead, make a stitch right here. Gonna hold that thread. See how it knotted up right here? It's already kind of, well, I think it's maybe polyfill sticking out too. So I'm gonna go ahead and make another stitch right through this here. So I did one pass through it. I'm gonna go ahead and make the second pass. I want to make sure that pom-pom stays secure on there, but while I'm pulling that through, I also want to keep an eye on this finicky thread because, like I said, it will knot up in no time. That's all it does, it wants to curl up on you. So you see how that thing is already in, and all I'm gonna do is continue going this way and close it up. All right, I'm about to finish this end. When I do finish it, I make a loop like this. I'm gonna go in, and you can see this is pretty neat. There might be a little thread sticking out that I couldn't really see because I'm doing it on camera and it's harder for me to see. But I think it does look pretty neatly. You can only see it barely with maybe readers on. All right. I have not cut my thread yet because we don't need to cut it. What I'm thinking, I want to sew this right here in this corner. So I need to travel from here under inside and come out on this side. You can squish the pillow, bury the needle in there, and be careful with your fingers. And then it's gonna come out on this side. Don't pull too hard because you'll pull the other side. And then you need to find the middle right here. And you can fold it like this and sew it on. I already made one pass. You do need to make a few more passes to make sure it stays there, and then you can just go ahead and tie this up. This is my last pass, and I'm gonna watch that loop, and before I pull it through, I'm gonna put it through the loop, and I think it's in there. You can go ahead and push that needle through and then cut it off. That way the thread will be buried inside the pillow. But another helpful hint, if you really want that, make sure that thread stays in, all you do, you go in like this a little bit, you grab the end that's not coming from the ear of the needle, but on the end, and you wrap it around 3 times. You hold it right here, keep the thread right here, and pull it through. And then we can just go back inside, out the other side, and pull it through a little bit so the thread will go back inside the pillow. And there it is. Look at that. So all I'm gonna do is tie it up at the end. Okay, so I took a little different route. I decided to put some orange ribbon, so I did the same thing. I pinched this too, I put it down, and I went 2 passes. Now what I'm gonna go ahead and do, I have these beads from Hobby Lobby, and this is like a standard size. That it's not a petite beads, they're standard size beads. This is actually size 12 beads. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put 1 or 2 on this invisible thread and sew it in. So I went ahead and I put 3 beads on. Sometimes these beads, they're not calibrated and some of them won't go through. You just go fishing for another one. And all I have to do, go a couple more pieces and pass this, and this is gonna be done. Right, I have finished making this scissor fobs, and look at this one. They're both adorable, but there is a different way of making it. I think I prefer this one better because I actually was gonna use something a thinner cord, maybe like 1 millimeter, but I'm not sure where I put the cording, so I can actually swap it out later if I find it. But how adorable is this looks? This has those 3 beads in the middle, and we don't have those knots like that. And all you have to do is fold it over, go in like this, and that's it. You can make this a little bit shorter, whatever size you need to. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next video. Happy stitching. Bye.